going on, guys? Today we're back with another podcast from Kicking It with Mace. And today we're going to be talking about working out. So we're going to be talking about supplements also, what I usually take, and like replenishing your muscles way faster than and like the proper things to eat also.
Okay. Well, I think we're kind of giving this a second try because not that our first one went bad, but I feel like we definitely thought that we could have done a lot better. Kind of felt kind of forced. I mean, we wanted to get you this story, but at the same point in time, felt like it was a little interviewy. We wanted to kind of be a little bit more casual and just kind of go through it. So,
yeah. So, as far as supplements go, for workouts, that's like the most important thing you can do. I feel like, before supplements, I put food because I feel like food definitely plays a big tool in recovery. It's like the faster you eat after a workout, the faster your muscles recover. So, like, what would you say would be good things to eat?
Well, I think the thing is you're kind of putting the cart before the horse because, in order to do all that stuff, you got to, set up your workout to do all that stuff first. I feel like that's going to be more important than going straight into, what you're going to eat and what supplements you're going to take. Because,
Yeah.
I feel like establishing a routine and deciding, what muscle groups you want to work and that kind of stuff is going to be more important starting off.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just going to give you guys an example. For my daily, workouts, I usually do 6 in the morning, wake up, and then I go into lifting. And then after lifting, I like to run. And then usually just a mile, something light. And then I go into my kicking. And then once I'm done with kicking, then I do soccer practice around the same time. I end up with all my workouts being done around let's say 10. And then after that basically leaves you the rest of the day to do whatever you want. If you guys watch my YouTube, I just edit. So that's what I do in my free time. And then I also eat. But once I'm done with my workouts, I usually like to get something carb related in my system. So pasta or something like that, and protein also. So that's what I like to do.
All right. Well, so I'm sure there's people out there that probably aren't also striving to be, the best athlete they can be. Maybe they're just regular everyday people. So that may look a little bit different. A lot of people don't have as much time maybe as you do to dedicate to a workout because maybe they have a full-time thing or, have other stuff going on. Maybe they're in school, you know what I mean? They try to get a workout in whenever they can. So, I think the first, he's talking about, it's setting that schedule, trying to figure out what's going to work best for you. What works best for him is in the morning, but, maybe I know when I was younger and used to work out a lot more than obviously I do now, it worked out that it was best for me in the evening, but, kind of to each their own. You're going to know whatever your schedule is and what's going to work best for you, but make it something that's going to be attainable that you can do on a consistent basis that's the suggestion that I have.
And back to what he said, routine is so key in everyday life, because if you set a routine and keep doing it over and over and over and over again, you're just going to get the hang of it. And then one good day, then you're going to have another good day, then another good day, then another good day. And then that's just going to lead into progress. And obviously, if you're doing that every day, you want to see progress. And you might think you're not, but you will be. You just got to, if you think you're not seeing progress, you got to make sure that that's when you keep your mindset the highest. Because on top of all the working out, your mindset's a key factor as well. So you got to make sure you're healthy in the mind also. Make sure you stay positive. And even when you're going through a rough time, make sure that you stay positive, because, that's how you're going to get through the rough times, is being positive. So if you're negative and you're I don't see any progress, and you quit, then you're just giving up. And that's obviously what your mind's trying to do. But if you can control your mind, that gives you all the power in the world. If you can control what you know you can control. Like if you're saying like your mind's trying to tell you that you don't want to work out today, but you're like, I don't care, I'm gonna go work out today. Even on those days, that already puts you way above the other people that just sat in their bed today and just did nothing. Because if you think about it, if you wake up at 6 in the morning, even when you don't want to, you're already way ahead of the curve than everyone else. It's because they're still laying in their bed when you got all that stuff done. You could have already had breakfast, already had all that. That leaves you so much more time in the day. Even if you want to take a nap for like an hour or something like that, for like, I don't know, just because you're tired or something like that, that still puts you way ahead of what they're going to be doing.
Yeah. I mean, like we were talking about, I guess, as far as like routine and that kind of thing. I mean, really, if you're not used to working out, starting to work out is going to be the most difficult thing to do. I mean, and the sad part is, you got everybody out there now, like, oh, it's a quick fix. You can just do a 20-minute workout. You can do this, you can do that. Like all these different things of like little shortcuts to take. But I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like if you try to do those kind of things, you're just shortcutting yourself. So the thing is, do something that you can start and maybe it starts off as something that is 20 minutes or a half an hour, and like maybe that's all you can do or all you have time for. That's what you start with, and then you kind of build it from there. Because the thing is, you're not going to be able to continue to get better and continue to strive for the goals that you ultimately set when you start if you don't, do those things and take little steps at a time. Because again, it comes down to routine and consistency, and you're not going to be able to have that if you set some unrealistic goal like, hey, I'm going to go in and I'm going to, I haven't worked out before, but I'm going to work out for 4 hours a day, every day, like 6 days a week. Like, that's probably going to be something that's not really attainable. So, I mean, if you start smaller, then you can grow it from there. Because, if you start too big, you're going to get discouraged if you're not able to maintain that. And, if you start too small, maybe it's too easy, but you can always up it from there. So the thing is, it's kind of like a play as you go kind of thing. Like you're going to find out what, oh, that workout maybe is a little bit too hard for me right now, or maybe this is a little bit like too easy for me right now. Like you want to be able to have to like find where you're at, and like you're going to know best.
I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand as well. If they think that they don't have time, even if they have 30 minutes, you could get just as good as a workout in with 30 minutes if you manage it well enough as a person who goes and lifts for 4 hours or something crazy like that. Because half the time, the people that work out for like long periods of time, they'll go do their set, then they'll go on the phone like this, then they'll go back to their set, and then they'll go back on their phone like this. And if you're one of the people that just reps it and gets it done, like just doesn't care, just keep repping it out, then you're going to get a way better workout in anyways.
I feel like the most important part of this whole thing isn't necessarily the results that you see in the mirror right away either, because the thing is, it's that consistency and, that discipline that you build by setting up that consistent schedule and like continuing on that. Like that strengthening of the mind, I feel like goes a long way towards helping you towards your goal. Because the thing is, immediately you're not going to see results no matter what kind of workouts you're on. Yeah, some workouts might be better than others, and depending on what you're trying to focus on, whether it's arms or a bigger chest or you're just working on legs. But like obviously, there are going to be some people that have different needs than other people as far as that goes. But, I think the best for me, the best workout, especially with me kind of getting older, is something that's going to incorporate more of my body so that I'm trying to work things out equally. I mean, I'm not necessarily preparing for any certain sport or marathon or anything kind of like that. I mean, I do run from time to time, but, I would just say I'm kind of just a regular active, person over the age of 40. So, I mean, I'm not, in college trying to be any kind of athlete. like this guy next to me. So
And that's another thing I think as well. Um, Obviously, some people aren't going to have a lot of motivation if they're not trying to be a college athlete or something like that. But also, even if you are a college athlete, if you get burned out or something like that, you might have struggles with like still waking up early, going to do that grind and that grit that you always have been doing. And honestly, you gotta times like that, you gotta just force yourself to go because that's gonna like make you want to get back to it. And as well, sometimes you gotta create false situations in your head. I know it sounds crazy, but you gotta lie to yourself sometimes. And even sometimes you might have to lie to other people so that you get yourself in a bad situation as far as sports goes, so that you know that you have to prove them or prove yourself, something like that, so that you know that you have to put in more work, so that you know you're back to that, like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. So, times like that, something like that, that's what I did that one time and it worked perfectly good.
well, I mean, I don't know that it's so much like lying to yourself or lying to other people. I feel like it's more of like you're trying to kind of set the record straight for like where you're at and like kind of setting a boundary and like a baseline for like where you want to be. I feel like that's kind of more what you're kind of trying to describe.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, honestly, you know, taking care of your body is important, whether you're an athlete or not. So, and I mean, especially in our country, I feel like it's, ever changing, but every day it seems like the percentage of obesity continues to grow. So, I mean, it is something that has definitely become an issue for our country and, just people in general. So, you know, the little steps that you can take as far as like starting to set up that routine and just, one thing that helps is like if you're going to do an early morning like he's going to do, set yourself up for success. So don't go out and party the night before and then expect that you're going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to work out and then be mad when you don't. So like, maybe if you're doing that, maybe that means you got to go to bed, early, maybe like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So you get that sleep in, because honestly, sleep is a very important part of recovery once you start getting into that whole rhythm of working out.
And obviously, if you're younger too, and you're watching this, you're gonna like think to yourself, well, I don't want to do that. Well, it's more of like a maturity thing because I felt like when I was in high school, my freshman year and sophomore year of high school, I really didn't care what time I went to bed. But junior and senior year, I took very serious. I went to bed. It was more of a, if you guys are familiar with the soccer tournament in like high school and stuff, how districts and stuff works like that. Freshman year and sophomore year, kind of after sophomore year, after we lost in the district final to a team we shouldn't have lost to, it was like, I want to go to college for a sport. So I gotta work. I got a lot of work to work on. And you gotta be honest with yourself. Like, if you're not honest with yourself, if you think you're fast and you're not actually that fast, and you lie to yourself and you say that, oh, I'm fast, I don't need to work on that, then you're obviously not going to get better at anything that you should be getting better at because you're not honest with yourself. So that's another key factor, be honest with yourself. And so when I put that into perspective my junior and senior year, I obviously saw the results in seasons also. I went from scoring 8 goals my sophomore year to scoring 15 goals my junior year. I went from scoring like 1 goal every couple games to like almost 8 goal per game, which is insane. And I always made sure I was putting in extra work, and it obviously showed. So it's going to take time because you're not going to see it right away. But once you do see it, it's even better because then you're just like, all that work did pay off. Because I remember during the season of my junior year, it wasn't great and it wasn't terrible. It was better than all my rest of my years. But during postseason is when I would say all the work started paying off because I started scoring like hat tricks every game. I mean, it also comes down to the teams and competition we were playing, but I feel like years prior to that, I would have never done that. And even led us up to all the way up to state semifinals. So that was pretty sweet. And then senior year, I did the same thing and obviously saw the results.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, what he's talking about too is like, not trying to not easily get discouraged because, I mean, today I feel like that's very easy to do, especially if you go on and you see pictures of all these people, getting all these results in these quick amount of times. And like, I don't know. I mean, good for them if that's what's happening, but more than likely that probably might have taken longer than what they say it took or whatever the case is. But the thing is, I feel like working out is a lot like, you know, when you run. I mean, obviously running's a workout, but the thing is, it's kind of you against you. Because the thing is, you know where you started and you know the results that you're getting. And don't be discouraged if your results aren't as good as somebody else's results because people's bodies are built differently. So, like, you getting results could take longer or be quicker than other people's results. So, the thing is, like, and there's going to be points where you might hit a plateau and those kinds of things. Like, but, that's just another challenge that you're going to face that you got to find a way to work through. So, I think one thing would definitely be to continue to stay positive. Even if you're not seeing those results, like you're gonna see those results over time. So, like, yeah, I mean, it might not happen in a day, it might not happen in a week. Maybe you see very little results in a month. But the thing is, like, the key, like I said, I feel like for me is keeping consistent because honestly, there's been times when I've been like, oh, and I've gotten discouraged, and then I stop working out for a little bit, or whatever the case is. Like, could I be more fit than I am now? I'm sure I could, but the thing is, you just got to stay after it. That's kind of the key.
Yeah, I agree. The more consistent you are, that's like a very, 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 I feel like, underrated factor as far as everything goes. The more consistent you are with whatever you do, whatever you choose to do, is gonna obviously play a big factor in your life. So I would definitely say that's very important. I feel like the more consistent you are, whatever you choose to do, you will be more successful in your life.
For me, one of the most important things I feel like that I did when I was younger, after college, basically, I started running, and that was huge for me because, like, I mean, I never really ran a lot when I was younger, and I started running and just started doing like some distance stuff. Now, I've never done a marathon or a half marathon or anything like that, but I did start, running quite a bit to prepare for it because I decided that out of nowhere I was going to run a 10K. So, probably don't suggest doing that if you've never run a lot. I prepped for like 8 weeks. I got up to running like 5 miles a day, that kind of thing. A lot of hard work, and I mean, at first it was like hard to see the results. I mean, I was proud of myself. I finished the race. I got a decent time for what I thought was, but I feel like honestly, doing that helped me the most mentally because honestly, you're able to. For me, it's kind of a way to like clear your mind. Like you go for a little bit of a run. Like for me, I do more of that kind of workout. Um, I like to do those early in the morning. Go out, you wake up. Yeah, you might not feel like it. Maybe you're little bit tired, that kind of thing. But even for me, like I typically don't do more than like a mile or whatever. But go out there and just get something in. I mean, it doesn't. You don't have to necessarily time it, but like once you do it a little bit, then maybe set yourself a standard. Okay, I know that I can comfortably run it in this time. Maybe challenge yourself to like, okay, maybe I do a little bit better time next time. So, I mean, for that, I mean, I feel like that's something that can help you across the board at any age that you are. I mean, obviously, like if you're a little kid, you're probably not going to want to get up at like 5 or 6 in the morning, and your parents are probably going to be like, "Yeah, don't do that because it'll be dark." Um, but no, just I mean, I feel like any little thing that you can do to kind of like jumpstart that whole routine is going to go a long way.
Yeah, and I think work ethic is super important, especially in like my generation, because there's a lot of kids that don't have a work ethic. So when you decide that you want to, and you have that grit, and you're always wanting to get better and better yourself, and be the best at what you want to be at, there you're gonna be successful, and no matter what you do. So I was blessed. I feel like with a work ethic that not very much people have, and I always want to be the best at what I'm doing. Even if it takes time, I don't really care. I just want to see the results, and I end up do because I put in the work every day. I'm pretty consistent, and that's a very key factor in today's society. And I feel like as long as you're consistent and you have that good mindset and you have a good work ethic, no one's going to stop you, and no matter what you're doing. So I feel like there you could be successful and rich or whatever you want to be as long as you have a good work ethic.
Yeah, I mean, again, with most of that stuff, I feel like some of those other factors play a part, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because, I feel like a lot of that stuff kind of going back to, you know, the things that it works on, routine, discipline, setting goals, all of that kind of stuff. I feel like that all comes from, a base of sports, really, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, from a young age when you're, if you're playing little league or, whatever you're doing, like, I feel like that's kind of the starting point, and then there are certain uh, kind of life lessons that you learn in sport that kind of help set you up for success. I mean, I feel like uh, there are certain ends of the spectrum that give sports a bad name, but I feel like it's the opposite of that as well. So like, you know, I feel like sports has a tendency to polarize people to either their hyper sports or their hyper non sports, and I feel like that's not really what they were meant to do. I feel like they were meant to, you know, give people life skills and try to uh, help enrich people's lives, not to, separate people into different factions and that kind of thing. So
Yeah, and I think also you can't be scared to fail. That's what a lot of people do. So when you want to do something, it's obviously going to come with some failures and some stops across the way. But when you learn from those failures and then you reflect and then you're going to execute and then you're going to have success. So those are like big things that you got to make sure that you're not scared to do is fail. Because if you even look at the most successful people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Messi, Ronaldo, LeBron, all of them had stops, especially Michael Jordan. Like, he failed to make the basketball team and then look at where he's at now. So, like, times like that, obviously, if you reflect on it and then you're like, I'm not going to fail again, then that's going to lead you into success. So, can't be scared to do that.
I'm glad that you were able to use the props there. That was good.
Yeah.
Very good. Successful use. But no, I mean, honestly, yeah, just to go to that, I mean, like we've talked about, in the first thing, every everyone that's ever had success has usually walked some sort of road of adversity. And the thing is, like with working out, it's going to be no different. I mean, everybody's level of success might be different. I mean, maybe your level of success is like, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds and gain 3 pounds of muscle or whatever the case is. Like maybe it's like little modifications, maybe it's like a huge drastic change. But the thing is, with all of those things in mind, you have to basically just manage your expectations, right? So like, I mean, obviously the larger change that you're expecting to have, the longer time period you probably have to put on that. So maybe you have to break that down into smaller goals, rather than trying to take it off too much at a time. Because again, you know, everybody's looking for that quick fix, and that's not always going to be the case. So, I mean, getting to where you're at, whether it's, in your career or whatever the case is. I mean, I feel like working out can kind of help you do that because, you can remember that time that you overcame that obstacle of, whatever that workout was or whatever that goal that you were able to get past that you never thought you were going to get past. And like, oh, I'm stressed out at work because, I got this big project to do and I'm never going to be able to complete it. But what about this one time I was able to do that or this time that I was able to do that? So, being able to have those wins in your mind, I feel like is going to play a big factor in moving forward and what you can do and what you can accomplish. So,
Yeah, and obviously that comes with a price too sometimes, especially if you want to be known, like as far as sports go and everything. I feel like even like if you want to be rich or something like that, it comes with a price tag, and that price tag is you have to give things up sometimes, sacrifice. So, sometimes you're gonna have to give up partying, you're gonna have to give up staying up late, relationships, uh, like it goes all the way back to work life ratio. I feel like as far as like sometimes you have to cut people off to get to a certain place or cut a certain group of friends off so you get a certain place. Um, and it's not really them. It's just so you could focus on yourself, so you could get to that goal. Because obviously, there was a time in my life where I didn't have a club to go to after my junior year. Um, and well, it was after my sophomore year. I didn't have anywhere to go to club wise because I was injured. And then I got healthy, and then I didn't really have a club to go to. So I could have just sat in my room and played video games or something like that during that whole period. It was really during the winter. So like I would say like 3 or 4 months I didn't have a club to go to. And I really could have just pouted and did all that. But instead we have this mall field by me. I went to that field every day for I would say the whole 3 months. Even when there was snow on the ground, I would put on like pants, 2 hoodies, and I would go outside and I would practice on that turf field, and I would make sure that I would do at least an hour and a half sessions. Even there was times where it was like 20 to 10 degrees outside, and I would do 2 hour sessions just by myself. And that's sometimes what it takes. And I had school, and then I would go right from school into the field, and then I would train by myself. And obviously, there's no one to watch you or anywhere to see that success because you don't have any pickup games or anything to play in. So you're just gonna have to trust yourself and trust that you're doing the best you can do and pushing yourself. And then once I did get picked up from a club team, obviously that paid off because then we went to state cup finals, and it was just amazing how to watch what I did that year, because those 3 months I felt like changed my whole mindset, changed the player that I am. And yeah, and like as far as work life ratio goes, like do you think Bill Gates had a work to life ratio? Probably not. He probably just worked constantly and couldn't really see the people that he wanted to see all the time because he was too focused on his craft. And like same goes for everyone else. Like me, I mean, I feel like I haven't really experienced like that yet because obviously, I mean, I feel like it's going to be like that in college because obviously you're away from your family. But as far as sacrifices go, I've definitely sacrificed a lot. I've sacrificed parties. I never really went to parties. Sacrificed friendships, relationships. As far as everything goes like that, I really like focusing on yourself is so, I have like an obsession over it. Like if you focusing on myself is such I'm not selfish, but it's just so obsessive, especially if you're seeing personal growth. It's just nothing gets better than that because like making yourself the best person you can be and just keep going and getting better. There's just nothing better than that. And especially seeing progress, it's just like being the best is an obsession.
right. Well, I mean, just to play off of that a little bit too, like honestly, I feel like when you're trying to make yourself better, right? I mean, you make yourself better for the future, right? Better for relationships down the road, better for friendships down the road. Because the thing is, like, you're putting yourself in a better headspace as far as, where you're at, what you're going to be able to accomplish, the, adversity you've been able to overcome, whatever the situation is. So, I feel like that is something that, you know, a lot of times people get to a certain spot in their life and then they're like, oh, I got to hit the brakes and back it up. And, and then they try to work on themselves. So, like, I mean, if that's something that you can learn at a, early age, I feel like that's something that really would be a good thing to do, because I feel like a lot of times people get into situations because they see what other people are doing. And I feel like that's uh, part of society today is like, you know, what everybody else is doing and comparing your life to everybody else's life. And I think the thing is, honestly, at the end of the day, you got to be happy with where you're at. And like, you can't judge your happiness off of what other people are doing, or you're never going to be happy. So, you got to find out what that looks like and, just strive for that. And like, you know, I mean, because there's always, I think the saying goes, there's always going to be somebody that's, better than you at whatever it is that you do. Yeah, you can strive to be the best, but the thing is, that's a continuous process, right? That's always going to be trying to move you forward. But, you know, I feel like never being satisfied is a good thing, but it's got to be stuff that's within your control, like he mentioned earlier.
And at
Because
the end of the day, you can know that there's people that are better than you, and you could see people that are better than you. But when you see them, and when it comes down to you versus them, you gotta take yourself. Even if they are a little bit better than you, you gotta bet on yourself. Because if you don't bet on yourself, then you're already lost. Because if you think you lose, then you lose. So there's always a battle going on inside of your head, you versus you. I like to think of it every game, no matter what sport I'm playing, if I'm kicking footballs or playing soccer, no enemy matters the most except yourself. So once you beat yourself, you basically beat everyone else. So let's say you have a bad game in soccer and you miss 3 goals and you're one on one in that same situation again. If you already think you're going to miss it again because you missed those other three, then you missed. You got to make sure that you have a clear mind and that you're envisioning yourself already making it. Because if you do that, then you already made it and you already scored.
so I guess seems as though we've went down a little bit of a rabbit hole here. Maybe focused a little bit more on like mindset and setting yourself up for success, and I mean, all the things that go along with working out. So I mean, I guess
Yeah.
not too much of a rabbit hole, but the thing is, you know, we did kind of go down the road of like, how much your mindset impacts how successful you are and your work ethic and all of that stuff. I mean, again, it's hard to separate because I feel like all that stuff does tightly uh, relate to working out and like being
Yeah.
successful with a workout and those kinds of things. So um, kind of getting more back to that, I guess. Uh, so once you've kind of, are we ready to be done with that and
Yeah.
just kind of go back towards working out? Okay. So, so what I would say is that, like we talked about, once you've kind of set yourself kind of a baseline for where you're at, then you can set your goals off of that. Whatever, whatever the workout is, however much time you have to put toward that workout, and, move forward from there. So once you've set all that stuff up, now I think we can go back to what you started talking about first, as far as, trying to make sure that you're eating properly and, recovering properly. So those kinds of things. That's when I feel like all those things are going to play a key factor. And also, those things are probably going to help you find better results for
Yeah.
what you're looking for as well.
Definitely. I think eating is very important. What I like to do for my routine is before I game, I always like to eat carbs. Because obviously you got to replenish your body and give your body the nutrients that you need. So I don't only eat stuff with carbs. I'll eat like pasta. Well, that is carbs. I'll eat. All right. Um, I meant like I'll eat like salad on the side as well because you got to make sure that you get your vegetables and everything like that, and make sure that you're always replenishing your body. Not only as far as food goes, I'm saying like after a workout, I have an ice bath, so that's why I like to use also for recovery because I feel like it helps replenish your muscles faster, and it also helps your mind. And I like drinking protein shakes. As far as protein goes, I like to drink protein shakes, eat stuff with protein like eggs, steak, and things like that that are in after my workout. I like to eat those and drink protein shakes, stuff like that. I feel like that plays a key factor, even though that stuff might not show in the long run. Well, in the short run, it's going to show off in the long run. It's going to be beneficial for you. It's going to be beneficial for your body. You'll start feeling great. Because if you eat junk food every day, it's fine if you have like 1 or 2 bad days where you just are too lazy to eat regular food. But, you know, if you eat that every day and you work out still every day, you're going to notice a difference still, but it's not going to be as big as a difference as it would be if you decided to eat healthy, eat what you should be eating. Like fish is good also. There's so many different things that you can, if especially if you're picky, there's so many different things that you can choose to eat.
Yeah. So one of the things about working out more, once you start working out, like we said, when you start working out, yeah, maybe you're tired, maybe it's difficult to get it started, that kind of thing. But the more you work out, the more energy that your body produces. So the more energy you have to work out. So that's helpful, but at the same point in time, that also makes you hungrier, right? So it's that's when it's very important to choose, what you're going to eat and kind of maybe have an idea of what you're going to do before that. So like meal planning can be very important uh, to do. So the thing about it is, eating healthy is more expensive than not eating healthy. So that's why, I feel like especially, in today's society, like the easiest thing is sometimes the right answer for most people, but you can't have, like you said, like, yeah, maybe you don't have the time to always eat healthy, but if you can take a day to where you can meal plan for like a week and like just, decide, okay, maybe I want, pick a couple proteins, maybe I get some chicken, maybe I get some ground beef, whatever the case is, you know, make those up and then, season them differently, however you want to do. Get uh, little like plastic pots to like put the stuff in. I mean, pick some vegetables that you like. You know what I mean, and kind of assort that through whatever. Find some recipes of some things online. And if you can have some of that stuff set up to where you already have that like most of the way prepared. That's going to save you a ton of time because if you can do it, if you can do like a week's worth of stuff all in the same day, maybe it takes you, like an hour or 2 hours to prep that, but now you're set for the whole week, right? So like, I mean, if you have you have a day off work or, you have a day off of school if you're in college or if you're, whatever. So, um, I feel like that is like usually super helpful.
Mm.
Um, the other thing is too is you know for me making sure that you're properly hydrated because I feel like that plays a big factor,
Yeah,
especially
I agree.
now in the summer. Weather's hot. I mean, in the Northeast United States, it's hot in the summer. I mean, I'm sure anywhere else in the United States, it's also hot because it's
Yeah.
summer. But
And I feel like too when when you're hydrated, you feel more just well, you just feel better overall and you feel quicker. Like for me, when I'm dehydrated, I feel slow. I feel like I am just tired. So that's like a really big factor because if you're not hydrated, you're obviously not going to be playing your best also. So maybe don't drink 5 hour energies before games or drink energy drinks. I mean, I know professionals and some people do that, but it also is back to the first episode. If you guys watched it, don't follow people just to follow people. You know, if you obviously, if you want to try it out to see if it makes you better, try it out, but don't try it and keep doing it if it doesn't work for you. Because for me, I saw a couple players that I look up to were drinking energy drinks and were drinking or taking like caffeine pills or drinking coffee. And honestly, I feel like none of those are good for me. I feel like it's just music. Music gets me in the mindset for getting ready for games because as far as coffee goes, it dehydrates you, so that and it makes me cramp. So that didn't really work out. And as far as energy drinks before games, it always hurts my stomach. Now I will say before workouts, I do like to drink energy drinks most of the time because I feel like it gets you more exhilarated to do the workout. And honestly, it doesn't it doesn't affect you that bad anyways unless you're running like 10 miles or something stupid like that.
Well, I feel like for the most part, if you're going to do something like that, you want something that's going to be able to give you something that's like consistent without the crash. So, like, if you do something that's, going to have a large amount of caffeine in it or a large amount of sugar in it, that kind of thing, those are going to, take you really high and bring you really low. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean,
That's
you're going
another
to.
thing. I tried pre-workout because I saw a couple of my friends were doing it, and they said they loved it. So I tried it. I liked it before workouts, and then I saw a bunch of my friends were taking it before a game. And they were obviously having success in game. So I tried it one time before a game, and I never, ever took it ever again because it is so bad. I feel for me personally. Now, you guys, if you guys are watching this and like, I take pre workout before every game, it just makes me a better person. Well, then do that because obviously you don't want to kill your success. So if it's getting you places, then keep taking it because I know it helps with your mind as well. But it just makes me. I feel like anything caffeine just makes me too jittery for a game. It gets my nerves like super, like just super anxious, and I feel like it's just not good.
Correct. I mean, I do feel like there is something to be said for that. And kind of going back to the whole thing of him talking about, uh, like carving up before a game, like I feel like usually most of the time, like, and even kind of me going back to talking about running, I feel like similar in that scenario. If it's a situation where you're going to, you know, exert a lot of energy, you're gonna run through um, a lot, then I feel like you're gonna be in a situation where, you're gonna want to carb up typically the day before, at least for me, um, so that you give yourself a little bit of time to go ahead and digest that. So then that way your body has something to pull from during that event, whatever it may be. Now, one of the big things for me for recovery, not only staying hydrated, but like to help replenish your body after. I mean, especially in the heat when you have situations where you could potentially like have cramping, that kind of thing. If you do anything that's like a big event where you're exerting a lot of energy, maybe you're doing some sort of weightlifting competition, maybe you're playing a game, maybe you're going for a run, whatever the case may be. For me, something that always has helped me recover is like, making sure that I have some sort of like a banana or something like that, like put the potassium back into your body and really kind of help. I feel like that helps with avoiding cramping because when I was running a lot, I used to get cramps a lot when I would like go to sleep and I'd wake up and I'd be like cramping, and so now anytime I have some sort of event where I'm doing something over and above what I normally would do, or it's extra hot outside or something like that, because I feel like those are difficult situations too, because sometimes you don't really feel like eating to replenish your body when it's hot, and so like but those are kind of be some of the most important times to do it. So I mean, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be like a whole bowl of creatine or something like that. But like um, I mean, there are obviously supplements out there that are gonna help you. But yeah, you just stick your whole face in it. But yeah, I mean, just simple things, honestly, starting off. I mean, because I feel like sometimes too people get into working out and they're just like, okay, well, immediately, what supplements do I take? And it's like, okay, first you got to focus on, you know, first things first. You know what I mean? Like we talked about, like setting up routines, setting all that stuff. Then get into, okay, you want to set up what your meals look like. Then you're thinking about like, okay, well, what's recovery look like, that kind of stuff. Because like I feel like if you try to tackle all that stuff at once, sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming. Because I mean, there's a lot of information out there. Some of it's really good, some of it's not as good. And like, so the hard part with uh, social media today is there's not really a gauge between what is proper and what's not, because you can put out kind of whatever you want to put out, and like and then society decides, well, okay, that's right, and okay, this is wrong, and whatever the case is. But I would say, as you're sorting through that, like if that's a way you choose how you're going to do your workouts, or you saw this workout online, like just one thing that I would say is just be careful what you choose to go with, because I mean, you could choose a path of misinformation by accident, and then find out the hard way. So I would probably look at what you're trying to do, and then maybe try to compare it to other workouts, or other supplements, or other diets, as far as that goes. And the thing is, we're kind of talking about what's worked for us in the past, or what's worked for us and what we're trying to do moving forward. So what works for us might not work for you. Like, I mean, but just we're trying to give you basic guidelines of what has helped us in the past, what's made us successful as far as working out goes, and hoping to pass some of that stuff along to you guys, so that you guys can have success moving forward in your workouts. You know, whether whatever that may look like.
And with that being said, what do you think was the biggest takeaway for you today from the podcast?
Well, I mean, I guess I didn't really realize quite the amount of like kind of like mental capacity that goes into all of like working out, or I mean, at least from uh, what we think working out is considered. Because like, I mean, for a while I feel like we kind of went down the road of like, these are the different things. But I mean, I feel like that just goes to show the things that we felt like that we gained from working out, and that kind of thing. Like, the positive mindset, and the the setting the goals, and the discipline, and I mean, on and on. Because I mean, I don't even know how long we sat here and talked about things that were, I mean, are workout related, like we said, but I mean, the topic was kind of workout, and we just, went off track for a while. So I think the thing is, like, for me, that's kind of my biggest takeaway, because I feel like half the time we're sitting here talking about working out, we kind of were talking about an option of working out, So, what about you?
So I think my biggest takeaway today was definitely the grit of obviously everything, of work ethic, like, and consistency. I've taken away consistency from this also. How consistent you are depends on, well, being consistent obviously makes everything in your life better. So what I took away from today was that consistency basically makes your whole life way better, can make you way more successful, and yeah, it's basically what I took away from today. Consistency is key. And with that being said, we're going to end our podcast today here. And don't forget, guys, I hope you guys liked the second episode. And don't forget, comment your guys' stories or email us at our email that we'll be dropping down in the description like we always do. Because we want to hear some stories. We want to say some stories, even if you guys want to come on here. I want you guys to, be on the podcast.
Yeah, I know we'll have some guests coming up, but we're still trying to work out people's schedules as far as that goes. So, we're going to keep putting them out as long as you guys are still listening. So,
And stay tuned for the new people that are coming on the podcast soon.